Good afternoon, traders. This is Henry, and as we get into tonight's video review, I've got a handful of names. Some of these you'll be familiar with if you have been following my evening analysis, but I wanted to kick it off here with Bitcoin. You've got a spot where the big overhead value, of course 100,000, is where all eyes are for this moment. Of course, when you're up here into 94 and 89,000, there is diminishing returns. Because if you think, all right, I'm going to try to trade this into 100,000, what might I have to risk? I'm always thinking about, especially from a swing perspective, day trading, you can tighten up this risk some. But if you're holding positions overnight, I think you have to allow for the potential of getting back to the mean. The 21 EMA is always something you just want to be mentally prepared for. And again, I'm just noting that the risk reward is diminished. With that all being said, you are still holding above this fire line. This is part of one of my favorite study sets, and so far continues to be the bid. You can see how price rips up through it, so we get above that 87,257 pretty reliably. And then, the day after it's a little below it, but ultimately closes above. And then yesterday, bid right at it. Today, that was the low, just about to the tick. And what you want to see is that continues to hold, and then we can turn up into that $100,000 mark. Also remember that crypto a lot of times enjoys moving over the weekend, so allow for this to be noisy on Friday, and then I'll know if I'm right or wrong, probably by Sunday night, definitely by Monday morning. So that's one name. Getting over into equities, Meta to me is still one of the most curious. And again, with tomorrow being options expiration, it's hard to know what the movement for tomorrow will be. It can be erratic. It could be, literally anything. Predicting one day is always a little bit tougher than predicting the next 3 months. I'm hoping this doesn't take 3 months, but I am thinking Meta is good for 627. If nothing else, there's a clear spot where I'm wrong. Right? Anything below that 555, well, then this chart is going to look very different. But if the bid from there is the meaningful move that's trying to see us up into 627, pullbacks to it should hold. And notice that that is right at your 618. That's at your snow line. And on the heels of a squeeze, I think that may have potential. So for Meta, I wanted to give you Datadog. Again, I know I've covered these in some previous videos. If you didn't catch that one, you're catching it here. And I just want to make sure that everybody that follows these does see this one. Because even though when you step back to the weekly, from 199 down into 61, the underside essentially coming from below the 618, technically that is resistance. But I think you could get up there and tag the 144. And even though that weekly chart has some overhead areas, look at where you've gone bid in this thing. Kind of right there at that clustering of the anchored VWAP, the 200 days simple moving average, and you have a very mature squeeze. So I like Datadog for 140, 145, and then we'll see if it can work into some more of those more meaningful targets. And then after having addressed XLY, because remember this was one of our best sectors, Tesla and Amazon have already proven that. So then you want to see what else is left. MCD, I think, is one of them. Now, closing at 300 for tomorrow makes a lot of sense. Also, just seeing how this has been moving so sideways, you either want to give yourself the gift of time or know that it might be a little stagnant. Again, I pointed out to you because I think XLY is a good place to be long. You have that fire line up there at 323. Do make note of that as a target. And then, of course, Starbucks, which again has been a part of previous conversations, and at least for now is still just stuck at 100. So I think this shows how these big round numbers can act as magnets, how around expiration even more so. But once we finally get through, everyone that wants to sell this at 100, 104 and 110 will be my targets above. And I think it's just a market where you're trying to buy stuff that hasn't already had the big directional move. And, mature squeezes are usually helpful in that venture. So that's what I've got for tonight's review. I hope you find the analysis level and symbols helpful. Have a great rest of your night, and I hope to see you in the chat room tomorrow. Hey traders, this is Henry with simplertrading.com. I wanted to thank you for watching today's video. I hope you found it helpful. And if so, be sure to click the like and subscribe buttons down below. If you would like to also see me putting these ideas into action and trading my own account live in front of you, be sure to sign up at simplertrading.com, and I hope to see you in the chat room sometime soon.